My name is Alexander Gabbin, and I was one of the three people who organized the 1970 conference in Chicago that resulted in the development of the National Black MBA Association. Well, the thing that got us started is basically the fact that in 1968, when I first went to the University of Chicago, and during that period of time, 68, 69, that was a very tumultuous time in our history. You had riots, you had murders, you had all types of things that have reached a peak level. And one of the reactions of the larger community to that was to then start making more scholarships and opportunities available for Black men and women to go into some of the premier off-limit MBA programs around the nation. Right. Well, I was one of those ones who benefited from that. And so I was there at the University of Chicago during that period of time, as were a number of other Black and men and women. So when we were there, Tony Jackson, George Bradshaw got together with me and said, hey, look, we ought to organize a conference so that we could bring together other people just like us to see what leverage we might be able to bring to bear with regard to the type of education we're receiving. We knew that we basically are on the fast track because we're in one of the premier schools, and if we graduate, we're going to do fine. But it's not just a matter of us doing fine. What does this mean? It's not just that we're in this school now because we're suddenly qualified. Black folk were qualified for a long time, but this is a reaction to the turmoil that was going on. And so now people were trying to make things a little bit more available to try to seem to be, hey, things aren't that bad. Let's let these folks in and see what happens. And the thing I want to emphasize most of all to you at this point, please do not overlook the fact that in spite of the 10,000 membership that's now part of it, in spite of all the chapters that are there nationwide, in spite of all the tremendous success that people are now having, this group was formed by students. That first conference was a conference of students. That first conference was pulled together by people who were in school studying and had final exams to take. And so those are the people who said, look, let's do something. And there's a message in that. And that message is this: don't cut youth short. Don't underestimate the power of young minds. Oh, yeah. Don't estimate the enthusiasm. We may not be the most experienced people in the world, but we know right from wrong. And there's this quotation that sometimes comes out, old men for wisdom, young men for war. We were ready for war. And so we got together to go and say, okay, what are we going to do? And so we had a group, about 12 people or so from around the nation representing different areas who represented those areas, getting together the following year in 1971. And in 1971, they got together to carry the idea forward for the mandate they had been given in 1970. And then in 1972, that's when the organization was formally incorporated as a National Black MBA Association. So this thing was carried out by students who did not drop the baton.